Okay, chapter 2 is all about operations on decimal numbers. That means adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing numbers that have decimals in them, though. So before we actually get going with all of this stuff, we are going to look at this kind of a chart here. We need to know when you look at a number that you know the value of every digit. Not only its value, but its place value. And that will become a little more clear as we go along. We're going to use this document here. So one thing that I want to point out here that I'm going to change, I should say, is this one right here. It says units, but that, although that does make sense, I want to change it just for our purposes here. This is the ones place value. Okay, so that's ones. So it goes ones, and the next one's tens, and then hundreds, then thousands, then 10,000s, then 100,000s, then millions, then 10 millions, then 100 millions, etc. Okay. Now, before we start actually putting down some numbers, I'm going to slap the decimal right here, because whatever number we have, every single number, all numbers have a decimal. A lot of the times, whole numbers, we don't put the decimal down, but that's a topic for another time. But because the decimal's there, I want to show you how we group these numbers on this side of the decimal. We group them in threes. So we have a group of 3 right here. Okay, so this group right here, it's a group of 3. Then we have another one right there. That's your thousands. And then we have another one right here. That's your millions. And if we wanted to keep going, we'd have another group of 3 called our billions, and then another one called our trillions, and then it just keeps going forever and ever and ever. But these are groups of 3. And not that I'm going to test you on this, but each group is called a period. Okay, so all these groups of 3 are referred to as periods. Okay. All right. Now, the first thing we're going to look at is how to just how to express these numbers on this side of the decimal. So I'm gonna put a few down. Okay, well this one should be pretty straightforward. This is 264. The 4 is in the ones position, so there's 4 of them. There's 6 tens and there's 2 hundreds. That all together makes 264. Now, if we kind of increase that a little bit. This one we have 7,264. Now, when you're reading numbers like this, there's where I'm going to start breaking it down. You read it in groups, in your groups of 3. So in this number, we're going to read this first, and then we're going to read this. So first you'd go 87, and then our group here is 1,000, right? So 87,000, and then we go to our next group of 3, 264. That's how you'd read that. So 87,264. Okay. Now, if we, well, let's just use the same number here. Let's go that. We'll just go there for right now. So again, we're going to start with this group of 3 right here. And we just read this number. So that's 587. And then what group are we in? We're in the 1,000 group. So 587,264. Okay, let's make it a little bigger. Let's go there. Let me get rid of some of this. All right, so in this one, we're going to read this group of 3 first, because it comes first. So we're going to read this one, and then this one, and then this one. So this one first, we're going to read that as 14, and what group are we in? Million, right? So that's 14 million. Here's this one again. 587,264. Right? So 14,587,264. all we're doing is we're just reading it in groups. Okay. So let's put a new number up there. Let's put a new number up here for you to give a try. And I'm going to pause a little bit and give you a chance to try and just do them on your own without me blabbering. Okay, so let me put a number down first. Okay. So pause your video here and try to read that number. Okay, now I'm going to give it a crack. Now, first thing you want to do is identify your groups of 3. Here's your group of 3. Here's your other one. And here's your other one. So we're going to start with this one right here. We're going to read that one first. Whoops. So we read this as 46 million, because we're in the millions group. And what's this number here? 23. We don't have to read the 0 because it has no value right there, right? There's no hundreds. 100,000, I should say. Okay, so there's nothing there. So we just read it as 23. And what group are we in? 1,118. So let's read that one more time. 46,023,118. Capiche? All right, let's do another one. We're going to fill it right up now. All right. Let's get tricky here. Not really. Let's just fill them up, though. Those zeros are kind of tricky, hey? All right. So once again, actually pause the video if you want and take a peel through this before I do it. All right. So first thing, identify your groups. All right, and I'm going to read this one first. 623,428,009. That's it. I'll read it one more time all together. 623,428,009. That's how we do it. So our next look at things here, as far as reading numbers according to place value, is we're going to look at these numbers, including ones that have numbers on the other side of the decimal. Remember, our decimal here will always go right there. And yeah, so let's try and read some numbers here. So our first number we're going to throw down there. Let's go right here. Let's go right there. All right. So a little bit of practice here. Again, we're still looking at groups of 3. So there's one group of 3. And there's the other one. So we're going to start right here. So this is 24,000, because we're in the thousands group. So 24,605. And here's something new. So when we read a decimal, this one right here, we say and. That's the only place we say and. So like right here, we wouldn't say 605. That's actually incorrect. Okay, so just say 605. The only time we use the word and is when we're reading the decimal. So 24,605 and 7. And what place are we in? Tenths. Remember to say the th on the end. So that's 7/10. Okay. Now, I'm actually, I think we'll just use a smaller number for in front of the decimal here from now on. Let's just go, let's do this. Got our decimal. Let me throw another number down here. Okay. So this is a pretty easy number to read right here. That's our only group of 3, right? And that's a pretty easy number. So that's 48. How do we read the decimal? And, that's correct. So this is 48 and, okay, now we have 2 digits here. So first of all, we just read it as a normal number. That is 29. And then what place value do we end in? The hundredths, right? We end in the hundredths. So this is 48 and 29 hundredths. That's how you do it. Okay, so we got, actually I don't need to do that right now. Okay, let's try another number. All right, whoops. Okay, why don't you just try and read this number without me beaking at you? Hopefully you paused it, because I'm going to go now. Okay, so again, we've only got one group of 3 right here, pretty simple. So that is 229. How do we read that decimal? And, good. And now we just read this as a normal number, 645. And what do we end up in? Thousandths, the thousandth position. Okay, so once again, 229 and 645 thousandths. That's how we read that. Okay, let's go again. One more number here. All right. Again, pause the video if you want to give this a try yourself. We have one group of 3. So we read it as this. So 448. Decimals read as and then we read this big number here. That is 2,468. Whoops, forgot to erase this part. Sorry about that. So let's look. 2,468, and then we end up in the 10,000ths position. 10,000. So how we would read this as 448 and 2,468 10,000ths. Okay, so hopefully some of this is making some sense. Now what you want to do now is, again, get somebody to write out some numbers for you, small to big, and practice. Just practice hammering out these. And look at, I know you have this chart in your notes, so use it. Look at it until you don't need to look at it anymore. Okay, now I'm going to leave you with a number. And I'm going to fill every space here. I'm going to see if you can do it. And if you can do this, then you're laughing. Then you got things, and you're well on your way of having your place value stuff all figured out. Okay, let's throw a number down. All right. Okay, I'm going to pause for a sec. Okay, now I'm going to giddy up. The only thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to outline your little groups of 3 here. And now I'm going to giddy up. So, 246,864,257 and 9,322 10,000ths. Did you get it right? Good job if you did. If you didn't, don't stress. Just keep on trying.